Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas.
It's New Year's Eve, baby.
Happy New Year.
One more time in 2019. Let's have some fun. Wrestling
2020
is coming up.
Cheer! Why, hello! I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, as we noted, one more time in 2019, you got Wrestling Insiders with Tony Atlas and, of course, your humble sidekick, Dan Marotti. The fans have missed you lately, Tony, as we noticed last week when we were back here for our Christmas week episodes. We had the big event at Memorial Hall in Melrose Saturday night, and we were back last night with MWF Ultra. Certainly 2020 is going to be a big year for our MWF Millennium Wrestling Federation in-ring product, but a lot of the fans, they want more of us in 2020. We'd love to keep giving it to them weekly, but we need their support, Tony, as always.
Yes, we do.
Without fans, we cannot do this show.
That's right.
We have drawings, we have merchandise, we got a little bit of everything. We got live event tickets. If you help us, we'll help you. It's not cheap to keep these lights on. It's not cheap to get this man down here. There are so many variables that go into television tapings like this. Never mind the big live events that we put on. There's many, many variables that go into those. But if you guys can help us, we'll do anything to provide you with great professional wrestling talk and memories and great live wrestling events. So keep that in mind. As always, follow us on social media and bostonwrestling.com. Here, Tony, as we end 2019, what a year it was. You and I certainly produced some great content for the fans. They'll be enjoying it for years and years, if not decades and decades to come, right here in this studio.
That's right. You know, and I'm not the only one that's been here. A lot of great legends have been here over the years. And Boston Wrestling, like I said, is your news to the world of pro wrestling. There's not a program like this anywhere around. I mean,
that's for sure.
We talk about not just wrestling, we talk about other things too. So it's a great discussion, and you're always welcome to come down in the studio when we have live taping, and you can sit here and watch the show being taped live. The welcome mat is always open to anybody that would like to visit 360 Main Street.
Hey,
right here,
remember the address.
Right here in Main Street in Melrose, 360 Main Street, Melrose. So we always welcome. Whenever they got a taping, if instead of sitting around the house, come on down.
Have some fun.
You're more than welcome. We have some great merchandise here for sale, and you get to do a nice photo op with the guests, and if possible, you can be part of the show.
All right, Tony. The fans have asked. You're a man that has many memories. You know many legends. The professional wrestling world recently, not so recently. It actually happened in May. The wrestling world was not alerted to it until recent times. A veteran wrestler in the squared circle, a man that was an agent for many years in the WWF and WWE, from Nice, France, Rene Goulet.
Yeah, that was shocking. That was shocking. You know, I was surprised that they didn't do much on Goulet because He's teamed up with Alexis Smirnoff. He was Sergeant Jacques Goulet, supposed to be in the French Foreign Legion. I met him in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. He was one of the people responsible for helping me to get started in my career. And I worked with him in WWF, and during that time it was WWF, and I worked with him in Mid-Atlantic, and I traveled a lot with him. We had a lot of matches together. He was right in the beginning. He was always a very pleasant guy to be with, very hard working, liked to party. He was one of the boys. He was a great guy. So it's kind of sad to see that Goulet is gone. And then you told me not too long ago, which I didn't know, that former Canadian football star and WWE wrestler, George Wells. I don't know if many people remember George Wells, but he was another one of the greats that I spent a great deal of time with, me and S.D. Jones at Rocky Johnson. And also you told me about Randy Collins, who was one of the original Moondog. First it was Sailor White, and he quit and became a singer Moondog, and then it was Rex and Spot Moondog. And I traveled with them a great deal, wrestled them a lot in Puerto Rico, overseas a great deal. But Randy was a little bit on the racist side.
Randy Culley was a racist,
Collins,
really?
Yeah, he was a little bit on the racist side. I remember Wendy Richter, when she was dating the Puerto Rican kid, Hugo
Savinovich.
Yeah, and Wendy Richter was dating him, and he came up to Wendy. He told Wendy something like that that dark people should not be dating light people. And I never really knew that about him until Wendy Richter told me about him. And I remember a guy that called name of Tony Parisi. And Randy used to like to have oral sex with girls. So Tony Parisi gonna play a
little
joke on.
fellatio.
Yeah, well he loved oral sex.
Yeah.
So Tony Parisi from Buffalo, New York, wanted to play a joke on Randy Collins. This is in Georgia when they had Georgia Championship Wrestling. So he brought the girl to my room. I had sex with her. He took her to Rufus R. Jones' room. He had sex with her. And he took her to Skip Young's room. He had sex with her. All three of us are black. So then he sent her to Randy's room. Randy had all sex with her. When he got to the dressing room that night, Tony Parisi went up and said, I thought you didn't like black people. He said, well, not that I dislike them, I just think that they should just be with their own. And Parisi said, well, you just ate out a girl that had Tony Atlas, Rufus R. Jones, and Skip Young. They had sex with her right before you, did your thing to her.
So Randy
he ran to the bathroom and tried to throw up.
So Randy Culley liked to whistle in the wheat fields.
Yeah.
He liked to go downtown. With Jane and Abby Brown.
That was his favorite thing.
He liked to whistle.
Yeah, that was his favorite thing to do. But Tony Parisi had her to have sex with a couple of black guys first, and then Randy went and did the oral sex on her. And boy, he didn't like that. He didn't like that. But you got to watch the wrestlers back in them days. This is back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff that guys could do in the 70s that you can't do today. I mean, there was a lot of cranks pulled on me. I remember one time me and my buddy there, we had these girls in the room that we thought was girls until they took the clothes off. And we found out they wasn't girls. The only thing that made both of us mad that they was bigger than both of us.
What happened when they took off their clothes?
We ran them out the room.
But what were they?
They were men's.
They had
breasts like a woman. But then when they took the panties off, this thing flopped out. We knew right then there ain't no woman.
They had penises.
Yes, they did. They had the long dong.
So from the top up, it was normal, and the top
then was
down
another
was a
wrestler.
surprise.
He's a good friend of mine, so I ain't gonna call his name. We was at a strip joint one time.
Yeah.
And now these girls had what they call the full operation. So this buddy of ours, we were with Mario Savoti. Mm-hmm. So this guy come over to Mario. I was sitting at the table with Mario, Ivan Puskett, and Bob Orton Jr. And this other friend, I'm not going to call his name because he stayed working, he's a good friend of mine. And he was kissing this girl. And a guy came over that owned the club, he said, I don't know if your friend know this or not, but that's not a woman. And I said, well, what is it? It looked like a woman, because she, had it was nothing there. It just a total strip joint. She didn't have anything down there. So he said, oh, she had the full operation. And I said, well, I'm going to go tell my buddy. And then Mario said, oh, no, don't tell him. So we never told him.
And did he get to the point where...
He don't know right now today.
But I mean, did he ever go full circle with her?
No, I don't know if they went upstairs or not, but I do know that he was in the bar kissing on her, and the guy was just laughing, and he couldn't figure out what they were laughing at. But the guys that were sitting at the table, we the only one that knew. Me, Mario Savodi, Thomas Savodi, we were the guys that knew about it.
Well, and you never fell into that predicament.
I came close, but lucky for me that the ones that was in my room, they had what I had, so that was the end of that. And I didn't like the shoes anyway.
Well, you wanted them to walk on you.
Yeah, but they had some huge, big feet.
Yeah, well,
I
certainly.
should have known when I saw that size 12 shoe that was not a girl. and the beard and the mustache was kind of a giveaway too.
That should kind of give it away.
Got my attention. But no, a lot of guys got in predicaments like that. Because, you go to, people tell you go to certain areas, people do, the science is so good now, people could be one thing and make themselves into something else very easy. Yeah.
Well, certainly, I guess.
And we got away with a lot in the 70s.
Well,
I mean, a lot of
like
stuff
what,
that
Tony? What did you get away
not,
with?
that I was not proud of. Well, first of all, let's say a girl was interested in you.
Yeah.
And she wanted to be with you. But I'm sharing a room with you. And one of my buddies done this. I don't want to call his name either. He told the girl, now you got to do my friend. She said, but I just want to be with you. Well, if you don't do my friend, if you don't let my friend do you, then I'm not going to do you no more. And they had a thing that if you didn't share the girl you were with, you were called a fence builder. So the older wrestlers used to hang around the younger wrestler to get laid. And that's what they do. If you get 2 girls in a room and there's 20 wrestlers, she's going to have quite a night.
What was the wildest? I know you said you sat through many orgies in your territorial days. What was the wildest one you can recall, Tony? I know you've told me a few on the phone. Maybe for the fans at home to understand just how over the top some of these scenarios could be.
Was like every night was like I mean, if y'all could picture this, and the girls would pay for this.
They paid for it.
They would pay for it.
They paid for the room.
They would pay.
These were rats.
They would get a room. The women's will. I don't like calling them rats.
Why don't you like calling them rats? They were wrestling groupies.
I don't like degrading people.
Well, maybe
because I can't call them a rat when I'm doing the same thing.
Well, you weren't a wrestling groupie. You were a wrestler.
Well, what makes us any different? I mean, I was with 2 or 3 women
Well, I
tonight.
look at it like this. Is it a disrespectful term? Sure. But a ring rat was the terminology for a wrestling groupie.
But see,
you weren't a wrestling groupie. You were a wrestler.
Yeah, but I mean, I act like them. I mean, I was humping everything that would let me.
Maybe you were a rat for the rats.
I was a wrestling rat.
Right.
But anyway, that's why I don't like to talk bad about them girls, because
rats.
We use our fame to manipulate them.
Now, how would you do that?
Because we're famous.
Yeah.
And so we use that to manipulate them. Mm-hmm. We were very manipulative. So if I'm going to take advantage of somebody, then I'm not going to insult them by calling them names afterwards. I just can't do that.
You use them, and that was enough.
I'm already done took advantage of this person by making them think that I'm going to give her the shiny house on the hill, the picket fence, the dog, the cat, and the 2 kids. And then I found out later, the only thing I want was a piece of tail. So we manipulated women to get what we want and how we want it. And we go to the next time, we do the trick all over again. And some of these women probably were very, very sincere about being with us. And then we forced them we didn't force them, but we manipulated them in order to do things with men that they didn't want to be with.
So what were these orgies like, Tony? Give us an example of one.
To get a picture, you walk into the room where they have...
So this is some cheap motel room.
No.
A nice hotel.
Yeah.
So these ladies, as you like to call them, unlike
you
guys on the road that would try and find the cheapest room possible, You had these women that were willing to spend
When
a
they
few
pay
bucks
for the,
on...
well, just like a wrestler, when the promoter, when the promoter is paying for the meal, we go to Longhorn. When we pay for the meal, we go to Burger King. That's a wrestler. When somebody else is paying for the meal,
yeah.
Just like when you take me out to eat, we go to Kowloon. When you paying. When I'm paying, we go to McDonald's.
All right, there you go.
Or Subway. That's wrestler. That's just... They're not like that now because it's not the same business and we don't have the same people. But you walk into the room and they have a table and you have all your cold cuts, salami, ham, turkey, sliced chicken.
So before these orgies, you had a big spread of cold cuts.
You had the buns. You have all the type of cheeses,
Lots
different type of cheeses.
Before the orgy began.
You have grapes there. You have fruit there. And you walk into the bathroom. The bathtub was full of beer.
Cold beer.
They ice it down. They cover it with ice.
Ice cold.
Ice cold beer. Yeah. They take these big bags of ice and they dump it in the tub.
Cans
then they put
or
the beer in,
bottles?
and then you cover the beer with ice.
Cans or bottles?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, they have both. And they even have a little whiskey there for your flavor.
Now you're talking for me.
And they they always get a room with 2 beds. Now picture this.
It would be hard to have an orgy on one.
All the wrestlers in the room. Now this is how it was. They had the shirts on. No underwears, no pants, and the shoes. They all was dressed like that. Nobody took the shoes off.
While they were eating the cold cut sandwiches.
Well, they sat there, they have a beer in his hand, and they eat the sandwich, and they watch the action. So there'd be one guy putting it to her, and then when he get through, another guy it was like it just kept going.
Like a train almost.
Like a train, yeah.
Now,
as soon as one guy got off of her, another guy got on.
Now, are we talking Atlanta, or are we talking the Charlotte territory, or are we talking WWF?
Georgia, Charlotte. WWF was different.
Now, why is that? You didn't see these women on a regular basis?
No.
Weekly?
No.
Why was that, then?
The wrestlers were not as close.
They weren't as friendly in WWF with each other.
They wasn't as close. You had cliques.
So the cliques would have fuck fests sometimes, but not
you
orgies.
Didn't know,
no
like,
big orgies.
Right, like I've been known Hulk Hogan, and when we traveled together when he was in Georgia. We get to WWF, we didn't travel together. Big Boss Man, a lot of guys, I didn't travel with. That's why we used to ask me all them names about them WWF guys. WWF was never family oriented. It was always individual. Every man for himself. Mm-hmm. It's been like that forever, And the guys didn't live. When we were in Georgia, all the wrestlers live in Atlanta. When I was in Mid-Atlanta, all the wrestlers live in Charlotte. So when we had days off, we go out for barbecues, we go out fishing. We did things together. We were like a family. In Florida, everybody stayed in Tampa. That Dusty Road. So Dusty would go over to Bob Root's house when they had days off. They traveled together. The kids knew each other. The family knew each other. So they was more family orientated. But then when you went to the WWF, it was more, everybody was separated. Some guys lived in New Haven, Connecticut. Some guys lived in Hamden, Connecticut. Some lived in Boston. Some lived in New York. Some lived in New Jersey. There was never no unity among the guys.
They were scattered more.
They was more scattered, so they didn't have the only time that we went to WWF, and plus they ran 2 or 3 shows a night.
Right.
So they could have SD in Boston, Tony Atlas in New York, and Rocky Johnson would be in Pennsylvania. So we would travel the whole week and not see each other.
So it was easy to have.
Right.
It was easy to have orgies with people that you knew.
Right. So you never got close. It was never that closeness was never. And I'm talking about the WWF. Before there was a WWF, before there was a WWE, there was never any closeness among the wrestlers. And it's worse now than it ever been.
Well,
it's worse now than it ever been.
You enjoyed the camaraderie down in Charlotte and Atlanta.
Well, that was old school wrestling. That's how it was.
Yeah.
These territories, because you was in the same towns every week. Every week they ran the same town. Like in Charlotte, every Monday was Charlotte. On Tuesday, you did Raleigh, North Carolina, and you did TV in Raleigh on Wednesday. Now, Thursday, you would go to Norfolk, Virginia, or you went to do a town in South Carolina. Or Friday, you would go to Richmond, Virginia, or you would do Charleston, South Carolina. On Saturday, you would do Roanoke, Virginia, or you did or you did another town in South Carolina. You see, but that's how it was. And then the following week, they would switch it. And the guys that did Norfolk this month would do this week. We do Charleston the following week. Right. So you alternate. But we saw each other on a regular basis. We all live in the same town, and a lot of us lived in the same apartment complex.
So you really were close.
Well, yeah. So we were real close. Me and Tommy Rich, we just didn't team up. We didn't just see each other. Tommy Rich's mother used to call me her son.
Really?
Yeah. She was more like a mom to me then. If you ever talk to Tommy Rich, you could tell Tommy Rich says, no, my mom adopted Tony. We was not friends. We were brothers. We were like brothers. I mean, because, we stayed together. We Skip Young come to the territory. Hey, Skip. Skip said, yeah, you know where I get a hotel at? Or Puster Pass Watley, God bless his soul. I said, no, guys. I said, I got a place here. Y'all come and stay at my place. Charlie Cook, they always come and stay at my place. Tommy Rich, when Dusty Rose, them guys came in town, Tommy Rich said, hey, come on, stay at my house. Tommy had, his wife to cook food for the guy. They had a guest room, didn't have to pay no hotel room. Tommy picked him up at the airport, take him back to the airport and everything. Now when you go to WWE, you get a rental car, you drive to the town. If you don't get there, tough shit. So there was never closeness in the WWE. I keep saying WWE because if I say WWF, anybody gonna know what I'm talking about. But that closeness, so you never got that real closeness like you would with other territories. The guys I felt bad for, and he used to tell me himself, were like Harley Race, because Harley had to travel the world, but he was friends with everybody, and he always said he wished he could stay in one territory so he could have the fun that we had. Yeah. Like I would go over to Tommy's house to hang out. I'd go over to Rufus' house and hang out and, cook food and watch football together. We were kind of like a neighborhood. Yeah. So it was fantastic. So a lot of people never seen that world or experienced that world. That's why I like talking about it, because that's the way. I always say I wish they'd do a movie on wrestling. They never had done one on wrestling. They made a movie called The Wrestling, but any of us know, it didn't show the major leagues. It showed only the independent.
You're talking about the movie with Randy the Ram.
Yeah, it was only showing independent,
Mickey
Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, but that's not wrestling. And most people look at that movie, that's wrestling. He showed a wrestler when he was out of wrestling. That's a guy when he ain't no longer in the business.
They could have made a movie out of you like that.
A lot of people thought they copied off of me because I did the story first on MTV. And then they made a movie about it. So a lot of people
There were some similarities.
Yeah, a lot of people had told me that. They said the movie The Wrestler reminded me a lot of you, Tony. They believe that a lot of the concept came from in 1999, I did True Life, I'm a Pro Wrestler. And when they seen the movie, they said, it was like they copied my life. Yeah. And what they were doing, they were showing a guy that was a big star, and then he had to go work on the independent circuit in small arenas. He left Madison Square Garden for Lewiston High School and these little armories and these little small buildings. A guy that was making $2,500 a match is now making $200 or $300 a match. Then they show the guys sitting at the autograph table trying to sell their autographs. Whereas when you go to Fan Fest or anything, that ain't with Vince. Right. But they was never to bring the cameras into the way it really was.
Right. That'd be interesting.
And they didn't travel with none of the wrestling either, so the traveling did not show the way guys travel.
Did you like the movie The Wrestler?
No.
Wouldn't it be? Was that unauthentic to you?
They try to make it look, what they did, they put more emphasis on his relationship with his daughter. That was like the heart and soul of the movie. Mm-hmm. And the wrestling part was almost like a backdrop. It was power, but it was not the major part. The major part of the movie was his relationship with his daughter.
You wanted one about wrestling.
Strictly about wrestling, traveling the territory, the blood, the guts, and the way it really was. One thing that I said, that I saw, the best thing I ever seen on wrestling, when Hulk Hogan wrestled Sylvester Stallone.
Rocky 3?
That was the best
Why
thing.
did you like that so much?
Because with Hogan, they show what it feel like to have a 350-pound man to drop a leg on you. You could feel it. You could feel it. To see an uncontrollable guy that nobody could stop.
Randy the Ram wasn't believable to you in The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
No.
No. Ram Jam?
No.
No.
Like I said, if they had put more emphasis on the wrestling part of it, but they show a little bit of wrestling and a lot of private life. So they was focusing more on the private life of a wrestler than the role itself. If they had started the movie off to show him in his highlight first and ended with that, show him training and what you had to go through to be a wrestler and the miles. Like, I'll give you an example. In Charlotte, you would drive for 4 hours. 200 miles was a short trip, was an average trip. So you would drive 200 miles to a show.
Easy night.
Right. You would wrestle, and you would drive 200 miles back.
And that was considered an easy night.
Right. Y'all got to excuse me. I got to blow this snorker.
All right, well, that's
All
good.
right.
All right, Tony. Well, I actually enjoyed The Wrestler a lot. I know you've had a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances in the business.
You had to get used to that. You know, everybody's not used to leaving and driving 200 miles.
Right.
Wrestle and stay at a show for 2 hours.
And drive home.
And then drive 2 hours back. Get up the next morning. You get in at 2 o'clock in the morning. I always get in about 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, because of my weightlifting, at 7 o'clock, I was in the gym with Johnny Valentine and Art Nelson. We're in the gym working out. 9 o'clock, I'm out of the gym. I'm home. 12 o'clock, I'm on my way back to another show. And this was, we wrestled 355 days a week.
A week?
I mean, not a week, I'm sorry. 355 days a year. They used to, in the 70s, they'd give us 10 days off for Christmas. You was off from the 15th until the 25th. And down south, they don't do it up north because they can't draw money up north. Down south, they used to always have a Christmas show.
Christmas night. Because there isn't much to do Christmas night.
No, it was
Christmas
an
Eve,
afternoon show.
everybody.
It wasn't night.
It was in at night?
No, never night. Always
Really?
afternoon.
I thought it was.
Always. See,
What territory are you talking about?
Charlotte.
I thought Atlanta did it at night.
No,
They were both in the afternoon?
They're always afternoon.
You lived it.
Where Christmas was always on a Sunday. Nobody
What do you
coming to
mean
a
Christmas
night show.
is always on a Sunday?
Well, that's where they, most of the time, it fall on Sunday. But
Tony, how can you say that Christmas falls on Sunday most of the time?
it's going to be this Sunday.
What? It's on a different day every year.
Well, they never did. They never did a night show on Christmas. I never did a night show on Christmas.
Christmas is always on Sunday.
It was always the
line of 2019 on New Year's
Well, it's
Eve.
just like when they do the Thanksgiving show. If you ever look at all the old tapes of the Von Erichs, when they did the stadium, even on Christmas or Thanksgiving, you see the sunshine was always during the day. It was never at night. It was always during the day. And then like all the shows on Sunday used to always be about 3 o'clock, around 3 o'clock. And I asked the promoter one time about that. I said, why you do that? He said, nobody want to be out late on Sunday because the next day the kids got to go to school.
I agree with that.
Everybody got to go to work. And I'll tell you something that independent promoters do wrong.
Let's hear it, brother.
They run these shows too long.
Well, we've discussed that. We've discussed that ad nauseum.
Every independent show I go to, they're not thinking about the fan. This is how, if I'm wrong, y'all write in and tell Dan that Tony Atlas is wrong. But I'm going to tell Dan what y'all wrestling fans want. And y'all write in or call in or email Dan to tell me if I'm right or wrong. If you advertise you got a show, what time our show start?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Now by 9:30, them people are looking to leave. No matter what you got going. They are looking to leave, because this is what a man is thinking when he goes out. Well, the show can't last much longer than about 2 hours or so. So around 9 o'clock, he started looking at his watch, wondering when this show is going to end. Because this is what he's thinking. before he went to the building, they got this nice little diner or this nice little restaurant they want to go to. They wanted to go and see a wrestling show, go out and get something to eat, maybe have a few drinks, go home, make a weekend of it. But when the show goes to 10 or 11 o'clock at night, by the time they get out, everything closed. So the old town motor said, never send the people home hungry. They can't find a place to eat at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. You got kids there. The kids are restless. Anything longer than 2.5 hours, they ain't coming back. And you can always tell a good wrestling show from a bad wrestling show. A good wrestling show, people hang around after the show. A bad wrestling show, everybody's out of the building before the main event is back in the dressing room. In other words, they ran out of that. And I've been on a lot of independent shows that when the main event go, half the audience is gone.
You do see that a lot. Yeah.
They had enough. Nobody, no matter how much you love wrestling, no matter how much you love a movie, no matter how much you love anything, everybody got a limit. And our attention span, maximum attention span for most humor is 2 hours. That's why most of your movies is only 2 hours. Dancing with Wolves was a great movie. A lot of people went to see it. The Titanic was a great movie. A lot of people went to see it. They didn't go back.
I like Titanic and Dances
They
with
won't
Wolves.
go back because they started thinking, man, the last time I went, I thought I'd never get out of there. See, wrestlers don't look at it the way the fans look. See, the wrestler, we can move around. We talking to each other. We laughing and joking. We're not in no one spot.
Yeah.
They sitting in one freaking seat all night for 4 hours. 4 freaking hours. They sitting there. And they're not going to show them. They're not going to see anything any different because the promoters don't control the show. They let the wrestler run the show because they don't know what the hell, they don't know how to promote. We used to, there's got to be somebody in the dressing room. I tell all the independents this, so if any of y'all listen, promoter, listen to that. You put somebody in the back to run the dressing room. When you started with Tony Rumble, when you started with Mario Savoni, there was always somebody in the dressing room that ran the dressing room.
Right.
Remember?
Yep.
And they would come up to you and say, look, Tony, we want you to go so many minutes, and we want to do this. See, a show got a bill. So if I let my first match go out and go through a table and get juice and do this and do that and do that, what I'm going to follow it with?
You can't.
You can't. So a lot of times guys would do things to kill the main event. Like in the old days, if Jimmy Slicker was on the show, couldn't nobody.
He'd be the only one.
Nobody could get on that top rope. Because people pay to see Jimmy Slicker jump, not you.
Right.
They don't want to see you jump. They don't care if you can do it. They didn't pay to see you do that. They pay to see Jimmy Slicker come off that top rope. If it was a press slam, if I'm on the show, couldn't nobody press slam nobody. They didn't pay to see every wrestler do a press slam. They didn't pay to see every wrestler go through a table. And so what the independent wrestlers do, they always try to outshow the next match.
Yeah.
So you may have a great match, the third match, but then your fourth and fifth match is the shits.
Yeah.
So instead of the show going this way, it goes that way. Now in my day, if you was on the first match, you couldn't throw no punches. And you couldn't go outside the ring. Nobody could go outside the ring till after intermission. You let the people save all that stuff for the end of the show.
Right.
That way you leave with a big bang. But you do the big bang at the beginning, like how the press slam became my finish. I was wrestling, I used to use the sleeper. I don't know if you knew that.
Yep.
I used to use the sleeper. So I was wrestling Sergeant Slaughter.
Bob Remus.
Sergeant Slaughter, Bob Remus.
Bob
right,
Remus.
in Baltimore, Maryland. And for a high spot, I picked them up for the press slam. The people came unglued. I slammed them. The agent named Arnold Skolin. See, I just told McMahon what you just did, Vince Sr. He said, McMahon said, from now on, I want that to be your finish move. And that's how it became my finish. Vince McMahon Sr. said, from now on, if you pick them up, Tony, I want you to pin them. And then Skolin chewed me out. He said, didn't you hear the people? He said, you should have covered him right there. I said, that wasn't a finish. He said, I don't care. He said, you were never going to get them up that high again. Always leave on a high note. Once you get the people up here, go home. These independent guys, they don't know. They keep going. And then they lose the crowd. Once you get them at that peak, you can't get them no higher. So why? Oh, but I got 10 more spots I got to do. Save it for the next show. The spots you did, sometimes less is more. What you did, you got them where you want them to be. Why lose that to do a couple more moves and leave out on a dead note? You have to have what's called good timing. You have to know when to get out of there. Never overstay your welcome. Always leaving the people wanting to see more. When people, in my day, people would set through a 15, 20-minute match. In my day. Not today. After 10 minutes, they won't see another match.
Maybe that's David Reese right now. No, you're right, Tony.
After 10 minutes,
you have a great...
What next? You ever watch the kids on that cell phone?
Yep. Great point of view.
Yeah, because, you know, the world have been opened up to so much. I used to sit and watch, right after 9/11, I watch Fox. Fox is my favorite station. Next to Fox is MSNBC, and then CNN is, you know, it's in there, but it's not one of my favorite stations. I don't watch it that much. But I watch Fox a lot, and I watch
MSNBC.
Yeah, I watch them too, and I love to watch C-SPAN. To me,
you like C-SPAN?
Well, because you get the real deal. There's not a
live.
Nobody's interpreting nothing.
Live.
You get it live.
Live.
I mean, I could sit right there and listen to what Nick McConnell said. I don't need, you know, the 5 to tell me what Nick McConnell said. Nick McConnell is speaking for himself. I don't need somebody to speak for Nick. I don't need nobody to speak for President Trump. I can hear President Trump myself. It's everything. Like I say, it's live. You know, you don't need no interpretation of it. But one of the things that I noticed in my day, like I said earlier, people would set through, like Ric Flair used to have a 1-hour match. No matter how good that match is, people ain't gonna watch it no more. Because the world had been opened up so much. And since 9/11, I've been noticing, every time they show the Middle East, of these uprisings, there's one thing that I noticed that probably nobody else noticed.
Yeah, what's that?
They all got cell phones.
In the Middle East?
If you watch closely, every time you see anything on the Middle East, they all got these cell phones. See, for years, when I first went to Kuwait, everybody knew who I was. And I wonder why. Because they had no TV. They used to order tapes. Remember Vince used to make tapes, the big 8-track tapes?
Yeah.
He shipped them to the Middle East. Well, they would watch these tapes. And that's the only way you could see the outside world is through tapes.
Yeah.
Through tapes. You couldn't see it. There was no cable, you know, in them area. So with the phone, they put the internet on the phone.
Yeah.
So people are able to see how life is in America. People are able to see this stuff. That's why we got an integration problem. They was happy where they was at first. They didn't know there was any other world exist. But then they gave them the internet.
Now they know.
Now they know. Now they want it. They want to live like we live. They want to be where we at. Because they could see it now. They knew nothing about the outside world. They were sheltered from the outside world.
You know, it's amazing how a program where we were going to talk about Randy Culley and Rene Goulet has turned into what we've been talking about for the past, half an hour at this point.
Well, what do you expect of Tony Atlas? You know he's a
Tony
loose
Atlas.
cannon.
We talked about orgies with cold cut sandwiches and so on. Tony, I got to ask this, and it danced through my mind as we were talking a little earlier. For the fans at home that may not quite grasp it, what was the need of these cold cut sandwiches during these wild orgies in the beer in the bathtub? Why the cold cut sandwiches?
After 10 o'clock, there was nothing open. So how you gonna get something to eat? They didn't have the fast food joints then.
Right.
There was no fast food. The only time you could get anything, when we used to leave the wrestling show, we stopped in 7-Eleven. That's where we called the bologna blowout.
Yeah.
You get a pound of bologna, a pound of cheese, a loaf of bread, and a 6-pack of beer. There was not no McDonald's, no Burger King, no Wendy's, 24-hour Wendy's. They didn't have that stuff. So by the time you got out of the rest of the show, because the show you saw at 8, at 10 the show was over. So the boys on the road by 10:30 at night. You couldn't pull off nowhere and got nothing to eat. So we go to the rooms, most restaurants, even right now, by 10 they close.
A lot of them, yeah.
A lot of them
in this
close.
area.
After 10 o'clock, you can't get nothing to eat. So if you hungry, what you gonna eat? So we got used to a lot of cold cuts, because one thing about cold cut, you can ice it down and it keep. You know, you get the bread, cheese keep, cold cut cheap, grapes, oranges, all that stuff, you know, and that's how guys used to eat. They just called it bologna blowout back in the old days. See, there's a lot of luxury that people got now that we didn't have back in the old days. That's why we used to fill up our tank of gas before we leave town, and then as soon as that tank got to halfway mark, we pull over and fill it up. Never let your tank drop below halfway. I asked Klondike Bill about that. He said, when you get stuck in traffic, you're stuck in traffic for 2 or 3 hours, you're going to run out of gas. You're not going to have enough gas to get home because everything is closed. That wrestler drive, as soon as they got into town, they would gas up before they go to the building. Then when they went out to their car,
They'd be ready.
Yeah, and plus everything was closed. Hell, TV went off at 11 o'clock.
Yep. They played the
Yeah,
national
you
anthem.
didn't have these 24-hour joints. You know, and that's the same philosophy I try to tell independent promotion. Always think about your wrestling fan. If you was coming to a show, you took your wife out to a show, what you expect to do after the show? Go straight home and go to bed?
Yeah.
No, you want to get a bite to eat.
A bite to eat. I like to.
Yeah, you go out to Kowloon or something, get a bite to eat, or you like to get a drink, you know, stop by your favorite bar or something, get a couple of drinks. And if you got kids, you would like to have them home at least in bed by 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Right.
You don't want to be strolling home at 12 o'clock at night with your kids.
Right.
You don't. That's why all the shows on Sunday was always afternoon show, but around 3 or 4 o'clock. There were the people's out there by 5
Nice
or
and
6.
early.
Well, they
Nice
all
and
got to go to
early.
work in the morning.
Right.
Everybody got to go to work in the morning. So these guys got to get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you got them out till 12 o'clock at night with a wrestling show. They go to bed hungry. They wake up in the morning hungry, and then they'll never want to see another wrestling show for about a year. So instead of how you think about how many people that was on the independent that been doing it for years, and it's no bigger today than what they were when they first started.
Good point.
Top Rope Promotion, a prime example. Been around for 30 years. And it's smaller now than what they were when they started.
Really?
Yes, they're not drawing the big houses or having the big
Now,
show.
why do you think that is?
Because they let the wrestlers run the show. They let the guys do what they want to do. And what happens after the first 2 or 3 matches, you don't see all you're going to see. And the rest of the show is boring after that because they let that first match go out and do everything. And the first match leave nothing for the rest of the match. By the time the third match hit the ring, there's nothing else to see. They've seen everything. They already seen it. Once a book been read, it's old. So a smart promoter, he would make sure that the earlier matches don't kill the later match. Like you said, by the time the main event go out in the ring, the main event on every show I've ever been on independent, is the shortest match. It's no time for the main event.
Right.
And they book every freaking guy in the world. Everybody's on these shows. Anybody that call up, as long as they don't cost the promoter nothing, oh yeah, I'll let you work. Yeah, I mean, I walked on that MTV special. I told the guy, I said, there's more wrestlers in the dress room than fans.
Yeah.
We have about 50, 60 wrestlers for a little bit of show. You don't need more than about 7 or 8 matches. You only know 10, 12, 14 matches.
It's a lot. It's a lot
That's
to
a
sit
lot of
through in one
matches.
night.
I barely have to sit through all that crap. They leave nothing to, with the people are fulfilled with wrestling. After seeing one independent show, they have seen wrestling all they want to see for the next 6 months. And when you come back, the house is always small.
Down.
Because they don't want to be trapped like that again.
So not as
People
many
got a
go back.
short attention span. So if you start at 7 o'clock, well, you're going to have the meet and greet first. So the VIP would come in, what, 6?
Well, our talk show starts at 5.
Yeah, so at 5, you have your talk show. Then you have your meet and greet. That's
Yep.
2 hours.
Yep.
Then you have a 2-hour wrestling. That's 4 hours. But if you go to 11 or 12 o'clock at night,
It's too long.
of course.
All right, Tony, as we prepare to wrap up this program, do you have any memories of Randy Culley and Rene Goulet? Maybe some interesting stories in traveling with them, other than Randy's enjoying performing the fellatio on the women?
Well, I was in a couple of orgies with Renee.
With Renee, really?
But never with Randy. Because once I knew that Randy didn't like black and white mixing, I tried not to party with him.
Yeah, you stayed away from him.
Yeah, I stayed away from him.
You enjoyed the mixing.
Well, yeah, I didn't have to go look for it. It was there.
The mixing came to you.
Yeah.
The mixing came to you. And like Michael Jackson used to sing, it doesn't matter if you're black or white.
No, well, it did.
It did. Oh, wait, well, now how did it matter?
My wife, I only been with one white woman my
She
whole
was
life.
the only one. So all of your women, rats, whatever they might have been down south, they were all black.
If they was white, I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
Why?
Because I knew it's a career killer. It's a career killer. And it ain't changed. It ain't changed.
Even in 2019?
I saw it in 2008 in the WWE. It ain't changed.
I remember you telling me about
The world is still not ready for that. The world is, America is still not ready for that.
Why do you think that is, Tony?
Babies.
Babies is the reason.
Babies.
Now explain this to me, why babies are the reason why Americans are not ready for interracial relations.
You ever hear, once you go black, you never go back?
Yes.
President Obama, mother white, father black, Obama black. Tiger Woods, father's black, mother Oriental, Tiger Woods, black. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, father white, mother Oriental, Steamboat Oriental. The darker the race, the more dominant the gene is for mixing on it. I don't know about anything else. It's only one way to create a white baby. A white man and a white woman. No other way. Not going to work. A black man, what does it mean once you go black, you never go back? Oriental woman, black baby. Spanish woman, black babies. No matter what the woman is, the baby's black. In the mixing, the darker pink dominate the lighter colors. The darker colors always is more dominant when you mix it.
Yeah.
People are like pink.
Yeah.
You know, you could take white paint and try to paint over that, that blue or that green, you're gonna get light blue. You're not gonna get white, you're gonna get light blue.
Right.
You take black paint, you cover that. It's cover. And then because of the mixing. When the Europeans first came to America, they took and messed with the American natives. They got brown babies. Then they brought over the slave. They fooled with the slave girl. They got brown babies. They have never in the history of the world where a white person had mixed with a darker race and got a white baby. That's why there was so much restriction. My mother said there's only two people ever been slaves in America. Two. A black man and a white woman. And that shocked me. I asked her why. She said, they're white women, they can't do nothing without their husband's permission. That's why if you notice, every election is about women. Abortion. What mean you gotta do about abortion? We're not gonna get pregnant. No man on this planet will ever have to make a decision whether to have the baby or get rid of it. We're never gonna be faced with that decision.
Yeah.
But we the one that speak about it the most. There's no man in America that can receive welfare. You have to be a mother with child and no man. Welfare is a woman issue. Abortion, a woman issue. Healthcare is more of a woman issue than a man issue.
How is health insurance more for a woman than a man?
A woman have more things about her that we don't have. It's like the cost of living is more for a woman than it is for us. As far as our undergarments, the only thing you got to do about a pair of underwear. Where they have something that happens to them every month. They wear stockings, they clothes, makeup. There's a lot of stuff that a woman have to have that men don't have. Like I raised my daughter, so that's how I begin to look at it. Costs more to raise a daughter than raise a boy. Because a daughter don't need all that stuff that a woman. Every woman got to have a breast cancer check for cancer. Hairstyle. It's just a lot of stuff that women have to do that men don't have to pay for. You never wore a tampon, have you?
No, I've never had a tampon.
That's what I'm trying to say. But if you're a woman, you're going to have to buy them. Every month you got to buy them. And they're not cheap. So that's one thing.
How do you know how much these tampons cost?
Huh?
How do you know how much tampons cost?
Well, if she don't, I think everybody knows she don't have one on come the first of that month.
But I'm saying, how do you know how much they cost?
I'm getting from my daughter, my wife.
Wait a minute.
My wife
Your wife is
saving-
almost 80. She still needs
but
tampons?
when she was young,
Oh, all right.
and my daughter, they just, when I go to the store, and I have women that say, hey, pick me up a box of.
Random women ask you
yeah,
this.
yeah, I have,
Wait a minute.
Any man that
Random women come up to you and say, can you buy me some tampons?
Any man that got a wife or got a girlfriend had went to the store and the wife said, honey, can you pick me up? Yes.
I had to get them for Linda a couple of times. I
Yep.
know what you mean.
Yep, if you
But
get
not
them,
random
right.
women.
They tell you to pick up all, and they're like stockings. I used to buy my wife stockings.
Yeah.
Like them stockings, the end of the day, they no good.
The stockings are no good.
They got a rip in them. They're no good. You see? So there's a lot of stuff that women health care is more important. Women need health care more than the men's do.
Well,
Yeah, their body is built different now. It take more care, more stuff. Like when a woman have a child. I mean, baby formula, none of that stuff is cheap. Diapers, none of that.
No.
None
You're
of that
right
is
about
cheap.
that.
Yeah, none of that stuff is cheap. And then then women, they don't get paid the same amount, and they don't get the same respect. I have said this.
No.
A lot of people ask me, say, Tony, you face most racism in wrestling? And I said, no. I said, if you could draw the promoter money as a male, they don't care what color you are. The Bobo Brazil wrestle during segregation. Sweet Daddy Seeker wrestle during segregation. They both made big money. Bobo was making more money than Moolah. Moolah was white. Bobo Brazil made more money. Sweet Daddy Seeker made more money. It was more popular than Mae Young. Nobody knew who the hell Mae Young was until she became a senior citizen.
right.
So we as a nation, we don't realize it because we never touched on it.
Yeah.
We are sexist. Example, not to get into politics, Bill Clinton had sex with Paula Jones, Jennifer Flower, Monica Lewinsky, and got reelected because Hillary got the blame. And I thought I would never see a man cheat on his wife and get the blame. Janet Jackson, Jesse Timberlake, Super Bowl. Jesse reached over, pulled Janet's top off.
Exposing her breasts.
Didn't get no blame. Even though he did it. Got no blame. A little boy, we had this old saying in America, probably in Europe, came from Europe, because that's where most of America come from. Boys are snakes and snails and puppy dog tails. Girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. I could go out and get dirty, play in the mud with my Sunday golden meeting clothes. My sister get one drop of dirt on her dress, her Sunday dress. First thing my mom said, now you know better. Be all over. Me and you, we could go out here in Melrose and all through the Boston area. We could be with this girl, that girl, this girl, that girl. The next
Buy them all
morning,
tampons.
oh man, we could be with every woman in the Northeast. They call us a stud. You let a woman be with every man in the Northeast. See what you call her.
You know exactly what
It's
they call
always
her.
been a double standard when it comes to women and come to men. I told this story in my book. They would have this big show in Charlotte one year. That was the first time I met Andre the Giant. My first time meeting him. He was laying on a table, and his feet was hanging over the table, his head was hanging over the table. They had to put a chair there. They had two tables together, and he was bigger than the table. I'd never seen anything like that. And he rolled up off that table. How you doing, buddy? That's the first time I met Andre the Giant. Where Dusty Rhodes was on that show, the Funks, Dory and Terry Funk was on the show, Dusty Rhodes. I can't think if Harley Race was there or not, but I know Ric Flair were. Paul Jones, Wahoo McDaniel. And they all flew in. Moolah drove in her Cadillac with all the girls in the car. You see sandwich wraps and a lot of stuff up on the dashboard.
They ate in the car.
All of us, that's right, all of us got a hotel room. Moolah slept in a car that night.
Really?
They didn't get a hotel room.
Wow.
And she was a women's world champion. Women's had never got, and I mean you had this out before.
We have.
They never got the break that men's got. There had never been a woman that they had pushed to the extent. Even when a guy is not drawing money, like when Bob Backlund was no longer drawing money for the WWF, and they wanted to put the belt on Hogan, they still pushed Backlund. Rene Goulet was making them money, and they got rid of her.
That was a kind of a short-term boom.
But she was drawing money. I was on the shows. She rolled with me. The people was coming to her. I saw her sign autograph in 1988 in Los Angeles. We were doing this thing
They were
for
free.
TV station.
They were free.
And her line was just as long as Hogan.
They were free.
No, nevertheless, I see these things. And I remember when she won that belt and Cindy Lauper and all this stuff, I looked at the crowd. The place came unglued.
But when they gave her an attempt to headline house shows in that era, after they put the belt on her after the first WrestleMania, it wasn't a colossal success by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, yes, it was. The houses were just as full as when they had a guy up there.
History seems to say otherwise, Tony. Again, you lived it, you were there, but history seems to say otherwise.
Yeah, because they're not going to write on a woman what they read about a guy. Because they will exaggerate what the guy do, even though he didn't do that good. But with a woman, they downplayed it a lot. They never put the attention on that. I mean, if it wasn't for Cindy Lauper, the women wouldn't have got no play at all.
Exactly.
You see what I'm
so
saying?
once Cindy Lauper, my point is, once Cindy Lauper went out to pasture, there was no need for it anymore because it wasn't over anymore.
But if Wendy was a guy, she would have got more play. They would have pushed her
I agree
anyway.
with that's fair. I agree with that.
They would have pushed her anyway.
I agree with that.
Just to show up on that one time.
Yeah. All right. Well,
they would have sold that damn picture like Mr. Wrestling #2. He met President Jimmy Carter one time.
Yeah.
They played that thing for 10 years. Tony Atlas became Mr. USA one time. They played it for 30 years.
But Tony, my question to you is, as we finish this tremendous tribute to Rene Goulet and Randy Culley, any memories, again, outside of Randy's fondness of a little fellatio?
Well, no, because like I said, he was not one that cared much for black people.
And Renee, you said you were part of some orgies with.
Yeah, well, Renee was really one of my mentors. I mean, he helped me a great deal. But
did he bring you to your first
Well, yeah, but
orgy?
I didn't travel much with him because, as you know, he was a heel.
He was a heel.
And I was a babyface. But he would always give me good advice. I mean, when he became an agent, that's when me and him really became really close. We became an agent because we could ride together, we could talk together, and I never had that experience with him. So lucky for me that when he became an agent, we got to know each other. It's kind of like when we did Legend House. If you listen to every wrestler say the same thing, we love Legend House because it gave all of us a chance to get to know each other.
All right. Well,
see, people always think that wrestlers know each other. We're all buddies. We're all friends. Well, when the show is over, he go this way. Everybody separate. And you don't hear from this guy again until the next show.
Fair enough. All right, Tony, I hear that music in the background running out of time. We'll be back after this brief timeout. Keep it rolling, baby. 5, 4, what? 5, 4, 3. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. 2019 is coming to a close. Tony, any New Year's resolutions?
My New Year's resolution is to stay healthy, to love my wife more than I ever loved her before, because 6 months ago I almost lost that girl. And to think about going through 2020 without her scares me. It scared me to death to think that. So I tell all y'all to have the same revolution that I got. Try to love each other more. Try to get closer to each other. My wife told me something that broke my heart. I was combing her hair clipped her toenails, painted her fingernail, and then she said, I have to have a stroke in order for you to be more affectionate towards me. That's a shame.
You felt bad?
I felt bad, because sometimes we just don't think about these things. We don't think about dressing up for our loved ones. I mean, women will lay around the house and look like something the cat drug in. They don't care how their husbands see them. People, some guys won't even take a shower before they go home from work, before they go to bed at night, lay beside their wife all stinking and smelling things. Most time guys never dress up for their wife. We don't touch them. If we do kiss them, a little smack on the lips every now and then. And we don't show our lady folks the affection. And if you got somebody that, and this don't just go for marriage, it go for family. I mean, if you got family members, I mean, don't be so macho, don't be so ashamed that you can't be more affected towards somebody. You say you love them, but you don't want to touch them, you don't want to kiss them. You fuss and holler at them.
Give them a little Randy Culley treatment.
Yeah, be nice to each other. Be nice to. That's my New Year's resolution, is to show my wife more love and affection, and be more involved in my daughter's life. That's my New Year's resolution.
2 good ones. So Tony, hopefully the new year will be great. The new decade will be great. We're going to continue to work hard to try and bring you guys great wrestling talk show content, great history content, and most importantly, great professional wrestling content, as we will do following weekend. Tony, we head south, the warm weather, Tampa, Florida, beautiful women. We'll have to see what kind of shoes they have on.
I don't care about their women now.
You care about their shoes, though.
Yeah, just the shoes.
Just the shoes. It's going to be WrestleCon as part of WrestleMania weekend, all capped off Saturday night, April the 11th. It's MWF Project X, WrestleFest, back to the 80s. The Hall of Famers are going to be here, there, and everywhere. Tony Atlas, Jake the Snake Roberts, Paul Orndorff, and this individual that is certainly not a Hall of Famer. For Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. We'll see you Monday night, 7 p.m. MWF Ultra. It's going to be a new year, a new decade. We'll see you then. Good night.